What's up, everybody? Kristen Gutierrez here with my good friend. Is that okay if I call you my good friend?
That is fine with me.
Andre Young. I just there's some people you meet and you're like, wow, this person is so charismatic and they're so smart and they've just got like amazing things to say. This is how I felt about you, Andre, when I met you. And then I chatted with you before your amazing keynote earlier this year. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I definitely felt the same. I love being able to share stages with great people and being on stages and sharing them sometimes. I love being blown away by somebody else. So, same thing back to you. It's great being on the show. Thank you for having me. And those of you listening, thank you for allowing me to steal some of your time.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right. So I'm Kristen Gutierrez. If you don't know me, I help entrepreneurs sell higher ticket items and create cash infusions in their business. And I'm writing my second book, Say Yes and Figure It Out. And, we could just talk about how amazing you are all day long. But Andre, why don't you tell us in your own words who you are and what you're up to?
Absolutely. Well, I am Andre Young. I'm a professional speaker, author, leadership trainer, and my name of my company is You Evolving Now. So I love being able to impact organizations worldwide. I do a lot of leadership and work-life harmony trainings for their leaders, their front line, and it's been a lot of fun. I cannot believe I get to do what I do for a living.
Can we just pause there, right? Because isn't it something inside of you that when you really step into your purpose and
Mm.
it's okay if we monetize all of that, but it's so fulfilling.
Yes. Like this is what I'm supposed to do. I played football for a lot of years and I wanted to do it. And I was good, but I wasn't great. So
Mm.
all of the anxiety that comes along with that and always watching your back and when is this going to happen? And when you do what you are supposed to do, what you're put on this planet to do, it never feels like work. And then when you can get paid your worth, you'll never go the other direction. And I just hope that everybody gets that because we all have that. No matter where you are educationally, life wise, and the hole that we may be in, we all have something we're supposed to be doing and giving. And once you find it, it is the most joyful experience.
I get the chills just thinking about it.
Well, it's interesting that you said that. I just picked up my son from football practice, and he said, "Can we get something to eat?" And I said, "Well, I have a call." And he said, "Again, do you ever get tired of calls?" And I said, "Do you ever get tired of throwing the ball?" He's a quarterback, and he said, "No." I said, "Well, neither do I." So it's the same thing. When you love it, it doesn't matter. It's awesome.
It doesn't. So I want to ask you about your background, but I have a 6-year-old, right? And he's all like, "Mom, can you win 100 clients this year?" And I'm like, "Yes, I can," right? And then he'll say things to me like, "Well, what's $1 million? Like, why go for $1 million when you could go for $100 million?" And I'm like,
Wow.
"Yes, Gibson." And
Yeah.
we'll be walking to his summer camp, and he'll say I love this about him because this was what my dad did for me as a kid is help me vision set in really abundant ways. And
Yes.
so he'll be like, "Oh, we live in California, so our house is this big." And he's like, "One day I want a 2-story house," and because I'm from Indiana, that's so
Right.
normal,
Right.
right?
Right.
I want a 2-story house. I want a pool. How much do you think a pool would cost? I'm like, well, probably 200,000 these days. Great, Mom. So can you go win more clients? And I'm just
I love the mindset, and that's a testament to you as a parent and what he is hearing and experiencing all the time.
yeah,
And again, like as leaders, I talk about leaders professionally, but we have to be leaders personally. Our kids
yeah.
will do what they see us do, not always what they hear us say. So you're doing a phenomenal job with that. And you know, I said to my son, for these next 10 years or so, I really want to make as much as I can. I want to see how much I can make and the impact I can have worldwide. I used to have a number tied to it. Now I don't. I want to see how much I can make. Now, there is a place to say just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Mm,
So I don't want my work life harmony
mm,
negatively impacted because I'm chasing a number or chasing this thing. So I'll know when to say no. And that's a very valuable thing. I tell people all the time, as a leader of your life or at it or on a team, it's our job to make our yeses powerful and our nos meaningful. So, and that means for ourselves too. We got to be able to tell ourselves no. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So I love make $1 million a year, fantastic. But if making $2 million a year robs my joy and I'm on my 17th marriage and I'm about to have a heart attack, then maybe not. It's okay.
Wait, did you know that about me? No, I'm just kidding. I love it. There's so much in here, just here, right there with everything you said, because the work-life balance is so important ever since becoming an entrepreneur. And I'm on the West Coast, and I've always worked in global business as a corporate salesperson and then a leader. And so West Coast, since it's hard to do business with the East Coast, let alone Europe. But the one thing I did was I block 8 to 9 a.m. on my calendar every day. And I call it mental health still a year and a half later, because it's so important that when I choose to take a meeting earlier, it's because I want to, not because somebody else set it up for me and I have to. And there's little things like that we can do along the way. While my motto for the year right now is 10xing our impact. So I love you said impact, right? And as a result of serving more, by impacting more, our influence will 10x. So 10x our influence, because now your circle's touching mine and, vice versa. And then 10xing our income. Like, that's okay to also, but I love how you've detached from a number. That's
because I used to have a number. And then there was a time where I took that number away. And when I didn't like that after a while. It was about 6 months. I didn't like that. There's something in me that likes chasing something. And I learned that it didn't have to be a number. It doesn't have to be nothing. It had to be something. And that something was, I want to make as much as I can. Because I did found two things about money. There was times in my life where I didn't have. And somebody asked me, why do you do what you do? And I was searching, Kristen, guys listening, I was searching for the politically right answer. I want to be an impact. I do. But why I do what I do is one, because I love it. But the other is because I ain't never going back.
Yeah.
I am never going back to being an employee. I am never going back to depending on anything or anybody. I am never going back to being broke and not being able to afford my family the lifestyle that will help them. Because now on the other side, money does two big things. It funds most dreams and fixes most problems. And most of those dreams and problems aren't even mine. They're my kids. I have 4 kids, wife, my family. So success is not an option. It will happen. How it happens can change, but that it happened cannot. So you wake up every day and I talk about what's your vision? And then what are the vision factors? And when you know those 3 to 5 things to do consistently, life gets way more simple. Not easier, but way more simple.
So good. All right. I want to ask you your say yes moment. And then I want to also ask you about some of these strategies. But tell us a little more about your background, the stuff that you share, because I think you're actually like a really big deal. And
Well, kind of. So it's my background is I was a mental health therapist for 19 years. Loved doing it. Thought I would retire doing it. Burnt out from doing it for a variety of reasons. And then from there, a lot of people think that's why and how I got into professional speaking and leadership training, and it wasn't. It actually was a divorce. So 16, 17, 18 years ago now. And I started a men's group because I said, look, Kristen, I was a good husband. I wasn't a great husband. And I was a boy in a man's body and made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Coming out of the divorce, I said, I'm a good person though. And I realized a lot of good people do bad things because they have no one good to do it with and nowhere good to go. So I created a organization, and out of nowhere, like 5 friends, I want to create something for men that they can come and go home better instead of just relieved from a boys' night.
Oh,
Okay.
amen to that.
Yeah. Because we could go out with your guys, your girls, and do stuff, but rarely do you come home better. You come home relieved. You had a good time. Okay. So I was looking for something for more purpose, and then it kept growing. So then I had strangers in my house, and that was weird. And now we're in coffee places, and now we got conferences, and then the youth wanted it, and then women wanted it. So we had all of these different groups, but I fell out of love with how I had to get business
Mm.
serving the community, every Tom, Jack, and Sally that I saw. However, during that time, I wanted to be like the hair club president. And if you guys are listening and not watching, I'm bald. So the hair club president and a member. So I wanted to come up with the questions to discuss and just sit down and talk like everybody else. But one day I stood up to make my point and I would sit back down. And it was like whack-a-mole, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. And then one day I never sat back down. And just to watch that people needed someone to lead, the
Mhm.
impact that it had, and then I had so much more to say than I thought. Then making that transition from community to corporate.
Oh, so good. I love this. Okay. Well, this basically, so like you might know, I'm writing Say Yes and Figure It Out, which is, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this book because it's really an opportunity. It's not about me. It's like I'm collecting stories from everyone else. I've created a community. You're welcome to join it. Like really it's an opportunity for other people to share their say yes moments. And if you think about it, we have so many say yes moments in our life. We have small tiny ones that make up every day, and we have big giant ones that are like the ones that give us the chills, that like actually move the mountain for us, right, in a different season. So if I preface it that way, because it kind of sounds like you're right there, like what is your say yes moment? Like what's a big say yes moment for you?
Man, oh wow. My biggest professionally, and then I would really go back about 24 years to a yes. My biggest professionally is when I had left the therapeutic world.
Mm.
And for 3 years, I was floating around taking frontline jobs because it would allow me, 24, 48 hours in a row on Monday or Tuesday to work unabatedly in the
Mm.
business that I have now created.
Yeah.
And I was doing my business on the side, and it was my first landed corporate contract. It was with Snap On Tools. So thank you, Snap On Tools. Okay. So one of the jobs I was working, my last job in mental health, I walked into the interview and I said, "Hi guys, look, I'm Andre Young. I'm also a professional speaker and author, but I need a job. My wife wants to build a new house, and my business is making part-time money, not build a new house money. So how dare I not give you what I would want my people to give me? I'll be the best hire you ever hire, but dang on it, I don't plan on being here for long."
Yeah.
So guys, listen, I'm not suggesting you walk into an interview like that, but I could not say my dream.
Yeah. Oh.
So I finally got an interview with Snap On Tools. I signed the biggest contract at that time, and I did the money. I was like, dang, okay. So honestly, that's about 4 to 5 months of rent, of bills and everything. So I
Mhm.
can go home and tell my wife, 4 to 5 months. But I still had this fear inside of me. So I went to my boss at the time and I said, "Hey, boss, remember our conversation? It's here now, but I don't have to leave. Let me do some part-time work. Let
Yeah.
me do some part-time work." And they said, "Well, I don't really think that's a good idea. It's a very, tough position. We need somebody here full time." And I had to sit there and think. I was on the crossroad. Do I stay here full time and do this? How can I do that? How I'm going to do that? And I went home and I talked to my wife and I said, "This is where I'm at, and this is what I want to do. Are you okay with it?" And she said, "Okay." And then I remember going to work the next day, typing up the letter of resignation, and about to hit enter. And I called my wife and was like, "What?" And we both said the yes together and send. And it changed my life. I went from working every day to I did 6 hours of work for Snap On Tools a week and changed my whole life. And then I said, if I can't make it with 4 to 5 months unabated to do my dream, then I don't deserve it.
Oh, tough love.
For myself, you got to be tough with yourself. And then earlier, way earlier, I gave a yes for my daughter. Like, so when my daughter was coming my senior year of college,
Mm, okay.
and us saying, "Hey, listen, two scared kids, are we doing this?"
Oh.
And it was the best yes, because it set me as a person, as a man, um, not going home and immediately saying we're going to do this thing. Like, it really changed my life.
Oh my gosh, so good. Because I wanted to pause with the first story, so we're gonna have to come back to the first story, to the second half, which is like, then you figured it out, right? Because it's we have to say yes. And
Yes.
even with your daughter, like, not that the beard is indicative of like the age, but you share these stories on stage, so I'm just gonna bait us a little. It's like you have a few kids and they
Yes.
range in quite the age range. Tell us,
Yes.
tell us.
So 24,
Yeah.
21, 16, and 5 years old. She just turned 5 like 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, wow.
I mean, because I'm old to have had my sister, for example, who's only 2 years older, her daughters are going to college. Okay. So like it's all relative. We were just on polar opposite ends of the kid having spectrum. And so
Right.
I have an almost 4-year-old and a practical 6-year-old, right? And so like when you're up there telling those stories, and I think my friend Natalia, who like made me sit in the front row for your keynote. I'm so glad I did. But like as you're telling those stories about playing tea with your daughter, like there's just something innate that like those of us with kids still this age, like it's so humbling and charming and all the things.
I love doing it again. Like, because it feels like again,
Right.
with the gap being so big, because I know how quickly it goes.
Mm.
I appreciate every phase now, especially now that 4 and over. I always said if I could start with children at 4 and older, from 4 to 12, and then 17 to forever. It's such a great age, and the
Yeah.
innocence of a child, the impact that you can have on a child, it is overwhelmingly beautiful. So
I love it. Yeah, I love it. What an amazing say yes moment to say yes to your daughter and your first daughter, your oldest daughter, and all the things and the difficulty that truly must have been. As it comes to the job and you and your wife together saying yes to this huge moment, like the thing about the figure it out part is we hear the highlights or we see somebody's highlights, and I try very much to share the struggles of my own journey because I know I talk about this,
yeah.
but either we try to do it or not. I still can't do all of it. I can't share every moment of failure, and some moments are just so hard. So what was it? Tell us about like what it was like to figure it out, because how many years ago was that? And now look at you, right? Like,
Well, it unofficially started. So I started that men's club in 2011.
mm,
It officially became a business with the EIN numbers and all of that stuff, 2014.
okay.
Transitioned to corporate, doing corporate work, 2017. So it's
Mm,
been quite a while. The hardest part is it really could have broke our marriage. It was so hard. I was coming out of divorce and already didn't have money. I was making money, but none of it was coming to me. And so that was such a hard time in my life. And then, I meet my wife, and I have this idea of grandeur. I have this thing that I know is going to happen, but I can't prove it to anybody.
yeah.
I know that it's going to happen. I just don't know when. So I'm, leaving the world of mental health where you're not making money anyway. So you're not getting paid big, but at least you know what's coming in. At least there may be a salary. So now I'm job hopping. I'm working at Bob's Discount Furniture. And thank you, Bob's, one of the best jobs I had, but it's hard. Like I had kids, I had 3 kids at that time. I'm married. It was very, very difficult. So sticking with it when you're not getting the outcomes that you think, because I learned a few things through that. One is you have to marry what you want to do and give.
Mm,
with how the person receiving your effort and energy need it most right now.
Mm.
So you're an entrepreneur, you have a great product, but nobody's buying. Then something's got to give, something's got to change. So you're not going to be able to change them. You got to be able to change how they want to receive it. My first speaking engagement ever, sat up 80 chairs. 3 people showed up.
Oh, that's hard. I've been
Still
there.
got to perform. And a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we throw all of these ideas to the wall, and we see which one sticks. And the first one that's going to pay you money, you say, that's what I'm going to do. But that may not be what you're built for, what you really want to do. You were just enticed by somebody who would give you money. Doesn't mean they're going to keep giving you money. And it doesn't mean that it's quality money.
Right.
So we have to learn how to scrap things and give up good for great. And that's a hard thing to do when everybody around you may not be believing in you. And at some point, you will be the only one that believes in you. And that has to be enough. It really does. And we can't hold hard feelings on why somebody else wouldn't. It doesn't mean that they're hating on you. My wife wasn't hating on me. She wanted some more security. She wanted to start a family. It was hard watching, when is this going to happen, as I'm switching jobs. And I did death care sales working at a cemetery. I'm working at Bob's Discount Furniture. And sometimes people are scared. They tried it. They lost all their money. So everybody's not hating on you. And that was a hard part and some good lessons to learn.
Yeah, it is very humbling to know what you're capable. I feel like for me personally, my entrepreneurial journey only started April 17th of 2023, when I turned what happened to me into what happened for me, as I was let go from my corporate 6-figure breadwinning job. Right. And also then in the middle of another divorce and we are like, what is happening? But I had this business on my heart. And so I launched it. And then I was able to start collecting real-time income, as I now call it. I was winning contracts. I was executing, you win a speaking gig. When you make babies from the speaking gigs, as they kind of say, right? Like when you turn one opportunity into several, that is future-based revenue. But often we're standing on stage, we're making money, and we're going to win the next contract, right? It wasn't until this 2.0 version of me a couple months ago where I realized, and I figured out how to create future-based income. So sell things at a higher ticket, operate more like a business, have income coming in today, but have contracts in place for future-based revenue depending on when they're paying out. And now I feel this is my time to scale, but I'm still so much like people who know me know, like I'm at the beginning of this journey. So
It's always the beginning. It always feels like the beginning.
Yeah, that's probably true, right? Mm-hmm. Still trying to figure out how to get over the next hump, and then the next hump, and the next hump. So what else part of your story did you want to share before we wrap up?
Well, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, one of the best questions that I learned to ask, because at first, whatever you create, whatever your product is, you're excited about it. And you could probably talk about it for an hour straight. Doesn't mean that people want to hear you talk about it for an hour straight. So when I used to get on calls, I was sharing what I thought they would pay for. Mm. When you start getting big ticket items, at first, you're nervous to say it. Who would pay for this? So I started selling my lower ticket item. Mm-hmm. And then they get it, and it was good, but it wasn't impactful. That was my fault. So what I started doing years ago, I stopped selling product, and I started asking questions. What would you like to get out of working with someone like me? What would you like to get out of bringing someone like me in? Because everything about that is important. Yeah. What would you like to get? And someone like me, because it might not be me. Mm-hmm. And now this is going to allow me to I'm going to get your answer. And either I have the medicine for your pain or I don't. Yeah. And a lot of times when I ask that question, the person on the other end, their eyes kind of roll back in their head because nobody's ever asked them that before. They're not even sure yet what they want. So now they have to figure it out. And now I either can match it to what I have, customize, create, or refer. And now this is all about time and budget, timing and budget. So now we can get the stuff out the way. This is now all about timing and budget. If I have what you need, how do we make this work?
So good. Right. Right. And then you're divorcing yourself from the outcome of, like, I mean, I coach, as you saw, I did a thing on sales, AI sales. Like, I am a salesperson by trade, 20 almost years in the corporate world. But I realize my gift can serve entrepreneurs as well, because people don't know, unless they've been there 10 years, how to ask the right questions and even how to find opportunity. It's still a sales process, how to cold sell.
Pipeline management.
Right. It's a whole thing as an entrepreneur, and we can get by often without doing it, but it comes to a point where you're scaling and you're like, I need the right opportunities, and I can't be chasing people for their money, and I can't be so emotionally attached to like whether they're going to say yes or not. Like,
yes.
that might just mean I need more opportunities in the hopper.
Oh, I love a no. A no or a not right now. Thank you. Like, I appreciate that, because no is really not right now. I'm not going to stop advertising, marketing, and y'all reach back out. I will never be less expensive than what I am today.
Oh,
so when you say yes, I'll always cost more. It's okay. It's all okay. And now it's so, and you have to have some rules for yourself. I remember one of the biggest mistakes that I made early on. There's a lot of entrepreneurs do. We chase. We're hungry, kicking in doors. And I remember showing up at this gentleman's office, CEO. He was 30 minutes late. And there I am sitting there waiting like a puppy dog. Had a conversation. And at that time, I was so excited just to have meetings. I remember calling my wife, and I'm excited to have meetings. Yeah. Now I'm excited to meet people, but I'm not excited by the meeting. If that makes sense, right? Love talking to people, but I'm not like, oh, I got a meeting. Now I have a 10-minute cutoff. If it's a virtual call, or very rarely nowadays am I somewhere having a personal meeting, one-on-one meeting, but I'll wait for 10 minutes. After that, I'm gone. And you got to be willing to walk. Sometimes you have to be willing to walk away from the pretty girl or the hot guy for the right reasons.
Oh, I love it. It's so good. I mean, I love all the analogies anyway between life and work, and the fact that then here you are talking about work-life harmony, as you call it, right? And it is so important to know your worth and to know your value, and to not settle for anything. And it's easy sometimes for people to realize that in personal life or in business, but it's not always easy for people to realize it in both. But all the rules apply in personal and in work. You can't settle. And I love what you said. I'll never be cheaper than I am today. So
it's all okay. Everything's okay.
Yeah. Oh, Andre, this is so fun. Okay. Anything else that you want to share, your strategies? How can we find you? What's happening next with you? Where are you going to be? You're all over the place. I love following you. Tell us.
Strategies. I'm big on vision and vision factors. So my thing for, you have a business, you're starting a business, you have an idea for a business. What's your vision? What do you want it to do? Like, for me, it's to be the best in the world in my space of leadership and work-life harmony, getting wealthy in time and money with ideas I create in the company that I run. That's my vision. What's yours? You got to know your vision. A vision without the vision factors are pointless, though, because that sounds like something nice we put on the vision board and we see and we practice abundance and all of that. That will only get you so far. That'll make you feel good. It doesn't put money in the bank.
Yeah.
So what are the 3 to 5 things that when you do them consistently, the vision has to come true? For me, number 1, I need to create great content. So whether it's blogs, articles, videos, online programs, whatever it is, I need to create that. Number 2, I need to network appropriately. Your product isn't for everyone. So if you're an entrepreneur saying, I serve everyone, no, you don't. So who are your people? Where are they? And how do they want to consume or purchase what you have?
Yes.
Number 3, I need passive income opportunities. Kristen, guys, I am so ADHD. It is like I pass it on to my son and my daughter. They got it from me. Okay.
Okay.
So I have a hard time learning things that I don't want to learn. So, for example, real estate. Love to learn real estate. Have a hard time learning it. So I got passive, income opportunities from what I already love to do. Create an online program.
Yes.
You attach that online program as part of the payment of them bringing you in.
Mm-hmm.
It re-ups every year. If you go 20 places and 20 people get them, maybe more than half of them it'll just automatically renew.
Love
Now
that.
you can take that money and invest it. So I got good at that. So when I do those three things consistently, so when I wake up, about those three things, what am I doing? What does it take for me to effectively lead and run your team? What does it take? And if one of those three things aren't in there anyway, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
When you know your vision and vision factors, it allows you to know what to say yes and no to.
Yes.
And that's the secret sauce.
Yeah.
And you put that. What's your day look like? What's your day? I have 15 to 20 things it takes for me to lead my day. At the top of the page, I have wins. I never have 15 to 20 wins. I got about 2 or 3. But if you don't know them, you're busy being busy and you're on a treadmill instead of the track.
So good. You talk about that too at your keynotes, right? Like I'm remembering some of this, but yeah, the wins are so important. Part of my philosophy for how to take massive imperfect action of the book is to celebrate the heck out of everything, because salespeople know, like, I don't know, as a leader, I guess I knew that. Like, we're celebrating this little thing today, and to some people in the organization, it's weird, but like, not to my team, it builds culture, it keeps retention in place, and it like sparks motivation and like desire to keep moving. But even as an entrepreneur, it's almost equally, if not more.
Well, as an entrepreneur, it's even more important because it's important in organizations. It is, wholeheartedly.
I know it's hard to say, it's hard to differentiate, but yeah.
When you're an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, you're the only one that knows the wins and losses. And there's a roller coaster throughout that day. Boom, I just signed the deal, and when this agreement is signed, boom, I just lost one. Ooh, this just happened. Like the the ebb and flow of a day of an entrepreneur is crazy. Yeah. But your partner or kids know nothing about it. You may not have a team yet that knows anything about it or how to celebrate. So if you don't celebrate with you, if you don't have an entrepreneur crew that you can get with to say, hey, I had something big today, let's cheers this.
Yeah.
Or at the end of the night, what was my biggest accomplishment of the day? And pat yourself on the back. It's a day of chaos. It's a day of what you didn't do. It's a day of how much you didn't get done. And that's just painful after a while. So acknowledge your wins. Nobody else knows them but you.
So good. You're a win for me today, Andre. This was so good.
Thank you.
What's your favorite platform to connect on? And then we will say goodbye. How can people?
I love LinkedIn. If you like to connect, You Evolving Now or Andre Young, I love connecting with people there, whether it's a chat, a DM, or simply following my post. That's the best way.
Awesome. All right. Sounds good. Hang tight, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. If you have questions for him, drop them